Today I really want to focus on a specific native plant that I have mentioned in other videos, but I never really fully devoted an entire video to this plant. I really want to take the time to dive deep into talking about this specific plant today so that we can better understand and more fully appreciate what it has to offer on the landscape. And of course today I'm talking about the wildflower Golden Alexanders. So here we have the Golden Alexanders, right? It is a really spectacularly beautiful wildflower. It's got goldish to yellow blossoms, right? And they're formed in umbels, right? You think of like the word umbrella, that's basically kind of the shape of that flower. And each umbel is really made up of tiny flowers, right? And so these can be really valuable to a wide variety of pollinator insects, especially short-tongued bees. So the Latin name of this plant, of course, is Zizea aurea. Given that this plant is umbelliferous, it is a member of the carrot family. This particular flower actually flowers relatively early in the season, right, the mid to late springtime, and this can be a really great time to flower because there are some pollinators out there, a lot of beneficial insects that will need to have access to that nectar, because that mid to late spring is kind of a time when not as many other wildflowers are blooming. So this is a very valuable food source for them during this time. Of course, this plant, as we mentioned, is a pollinator attractant to such a wide array of insects. And then this is a native wildflower to North America. So we can really use this plant to help build up the native ecosystem and make it more resilient, more diverse, and more functional. So what I'm doing right now, we're currently in August, and I'm actually collecting the seeds, right? I'm harvesting the mature seeds, and those seeds I am going to plant now as well in different areas of the garden so I can cultivate more of this beneficial wildflower. Okay, so this is a little late for collecting Golden Alexander seeds, but here they are, buried underneath some of the vines, some of the grasses and stuff like that. But this is a seed head right here. To prevent this, we can usually we can stake these plants and to support their growth, but I think this is kind of like their natural seed dispersal method, where they will flower, begin to produce seed, and then the plants will flop over, and then the seed will drop on the ground away from the plant, and then it can sprout there. But basically all that's involved, just kind of rub them between your fingers, and they come right off, especially when they're this old and mature. You can track it back farther and pull up like entire sections of plants. I'm gonna have to get some of these vines out of the way, but anyway, going here. And then what I can do is I can go ahead and plant this seed right now. I'm just going to do like a small pinch of multiple seeds in just, patches. Probably going down the middle of some of the rows, so we can get a little bit more diversity, a little bit more pollinator friendly plants, and it's a native plant too. But it is August right now, getting to be late August, and so we can plant this seed during this time, and then it may begin to sprout this time of the year soon, and then it can overwinter, and then it'll come back with a little bit more growth in the spring. And this plant is naturally adapted to this climate, so it should be good. Alright, so we have this bed here I planted about a week ago, and so I have one row of the black Spanish radish going up there. Still have to thin that out a little bit. And then this is the bald head mustard, another row going up there. And in between I had planted some cilantro. Does not really look like that's coming up. That was some pretty old seed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and kind of reseed maybe 2, 3, or 4 plots or so. Just a little pinch of the golden Alexander seeds, so these can begin to sprout and establish themselves, and then I can get a little bit more native wildflowers and beneficial pollinator plants in this area of the garden. Doesn't have to be. These are pretty small seeds from the carrot family, so they don't have to be super shallow. Just plant like maybe a bunch of them there. Cover it gently. So probably space them like about 2 feet apart. Take another pinch. It's probably good. So this is a plant that does very well in full sun to partial shade, right? And this plant, it might be juglone tolerant. So juglone is kind of a plant toxin that the black walnut trees and other related trees like hickory and such can produce, right? And it can affect the soil. So this chemical will leach into the soil, and it can kind of act as almost like an herbicide to certain plants, right? Especially certain crops. But this golden Alexander is actually not necessarily affected by it, at least not to a meaningful degree. And that makes a lot of sense because this is a native wildflower, right? So it's more likely that this native wildflower has evolved some sort of resilience or resistance to the environment that the native black walnut tree creates, right? Since they're both native. And it's a bit of an anomaly that this golden Alexander's plant actually has a fibrous root system, right? A lot of plants in the carrot family have a main taproot, like, you know, think about like the carrot or the parsnip, and so many other of these plants, lovage, they have a primary taproot that penetrates pretty deep into the soil, whereas this root system for this plant it almost seems to be a little bit more fibrous. And so in that sense, this plant's roots might not go as deep into the soil as some other plants, but its roots will spread out in the soil in those shallower depths and help to hold the soil into place and prevent erosion. Golden Alexanders, and I don't have it up here, but I also want to note that it is very resistant to rabbits, voles, and other rodents. Most mammals will actually leave this plant alone, with the exception of deer, possibly. It's kind of hit or miss. So we know some of the direct benefits and kind of the nature of this plant, but what types of insects, what types of beneficial insects does this plant attract? So of course the adrenid bees, the masked bees, and the green metallic bees are groups of a lot of native pollinators that pollinate a wide diversity of plants, right? Not just our crops, but also like a lot of wildflowers, you know, even some tree species as well. And that's very important for ecosystem functioning. Some of these pollinators, these bees, have very unique characteristics that sometimes only they can access the nectar and successfully pollinate a flower of a specific species, right? Not all plants, not all flowers out there were designed for the honeybee, and the honeybee is not native to North America. So there are some insect and plant associations that just have to be maintained in order to maintain the balance in the local ecology. So these 3 classes of bees are just super important for the landscape. The golden Alexanders may also attract some other short-tongued bees as well, which are what all these 3 are. And then we can get into the wasps too. Like the spider wasps are a predatory wasp. They can go after certain species of spiders, but also some other insects. The eumenine wasp is also a good insect predator, and the crabronine wasp is also a very good insect predator as well, right? And so these can go after some of the other insect pests that may be in the garden or on the landscape or on the farm, whatever your context may be. And then, of course, this plant can also attract various species of ichneumotid wasps, right, which are parasitoids for a lot of other pest insect species. And then we also have some of the long-tongued bees that can be attracted, such as the bumblebee, and then also some of the larval stages of some of these native butterflies too, like the black swallowtail or the Ozark swallowtail, their larvae will actually feed on some of the leaves, on some foliage of the plant, right, as these insects are developing. And then some other interesting insects that I want to point out. This plant will also attract the rigid sunflower borer moth, which may feed on the golden Alexander plant. And then also some of these aphids. Certain aphids that may be attracted to plants in the carrot family will also likely be attracted to the golden Alexanders. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Because we're attracting all these other beneficials, some of which are predators or parasitoids of some of these pest insects. So you can't take it in isolation where we're just attracting pests, right? Or we're just attracting beneficials, but we are attracting a higher level of ecological function overall. And especially that the golden Alexanders blossom and flower earlier in the season, a lot earlier than other members in the carrot family, is also extremely valuable for bringing in these beneficial insects, especially if the pests are already on the golden Alexanders, right? That is such a complete food source for these beneficials, between being able to eat the pests and the nectar that these plants produce. So thank you so much for checking out this video on the golden Alexanders, right? These wildflowers have a lot of unique and valuable attributes to offer into the garden, with all the diversity of life, the insects, both beneficial and pest, that they attract into the garden, right? They make the ecosystem a lot more functional, and that is what is so important. It's not purely about eliminating pests, right? But it goes beyond that to create a balance in the ecosystem. So thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in a future video. Take care.